You all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to
Allegiance.
the flag.
Flag.
United States
United
of America, to the republic
Republic for which
which
it
which
stands,
stand
one nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
and
liberty,
justice for all.
justice for all.
Aye.
The notice requirements of the Open Publics Meeting Law have been met by transmitting the notice of the regular meeting to the Commissioner's official newspaper on January 30th, 2020, and revised on May 14th, 2020, posting the notice where required and filing a copy of the notice with the Commission Clerk. Allenhurst,
Here.
Asbury Park,
Yes,
Deal, Interlaken,
Present.
Lock Arbor,
here,
Neptune, Ocean.
Yes.
Tonight we have Resolution 2041, a resolution to approve the minutes of the regular meeting for May 21st, 2020. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second,
I will second.
all in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Tonight, Resolution 2042, a resolution to approve Treasurer's report and pay bills of June 18th, 2020. Don, do you want to read the report? Don?
The treasurer's report.
Please.
Who's the assistant treasurer?
I'll read it if you want.
There you go. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, balance on hand is $78,968.43. Our total receipts were $56,117.87. Total disbursements were $3,708.36. Total on deposit is $131,377.94.
Someone please offer the treasurer's report to be adopted. Paid, bills paid.
I'll offer.
Second,
I'll second.
Allenhurst,
Yes.
Asbury Park,
Yes,
Interlaken,
Yes.
Lock Arbor,
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay, Don, you're up.
And just want to note on that treasurer's report, we did get multiple checks from the state of New Jersey for the 319. So it was really,
Yeah,
that was a wonderful report.
yeah, I think it was recorded 3, 4, and 5. 3, 4.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, Flume electrification update. Peter, you want to take a piece of this or? No.
you're muted, Peter.
I'm muted.
You're up.
My engineer, Dave, project manager, gave Don a report. I'll just go through the points so everyone understands where we're at now. The modifications to raise the elevation of the surge chamber were completed. The grading over the surge chamber.
Could you say that? I'm sorry, Peter. Could you say that again? It was breaking up.
The whole audio is breaking up tonight. I
We
hear a
should-
lot of reverb too.
We should all mute ourselves until we want to
So many
speak.
mics. That's why I'm muting
Okay.
myself.
Okay, let's mute and then we can just listen to Peter, right?
Sure, if you have any questions, I'll pause and take questions as you have them. Modifications to raise the surge chamber elevation have been completed. The grading has been installed, as you know, and we modified that grading over the surge chamber. All that work is complete. The sluice gate maintenance and repairs are complete. Electrical conduit from JCP&L from the utility pole to the gatehouse has been installed. Wiring to the gatehouse completed, and JCP&L has their meter installed. The new actuators, which are the motor operators that are tied in electrically to each of the 2 gate valves, have been installed and are operational. Don will be pleased that the new door has been installed. Lighting and cameras are installed, and Don's been modifying the lighting to make sure it's not overbearing, because you can light this thing up like a Queen Mary. Security contractor is waiting for a Verizon account, and he'll set up a modem Verizon to allow us to remotely access to electrical controls in the gatehouse.
That's probably the biggest point, right, Peter? The Verizon account is probably our biggest holdup.
But it's a simple thing. It's like putting a internet connection in your home, so it shouldn't be difficult. I think we have to give that to them, though.
Right, and who's going to do that? Who's going to actually? I mean, we have to get an account through the DLA Commission, and I think the big holdup, somebody's joked, was going to be the building number. We have no number to that building. It's basically an electrical shed.
Maybe we'll work it out with Jesse. Maybe we'll do it to the Deal Lake Commission via Ocean Township, so that at least someone in Ocean Township has control over the account, and then we can get the bill and pay it.
Okay.
Precise Construction, the general contractor, still has to complete repairs to the gatehouse and the concrete wall. The lake must be lowered a little, and we thought that this time of year it wasn't appropriate to lower the lake. So he's ready to do that on our direction. And then the final painting will be done, and I think he's going to use Steve to do that.
Yeah, it's painting and the sealing of the wall too, right?
The sealing of the wall is also a part of it, yes. So we're in pretty good shape. Project is substantially complete. Once we have the telemetry done and you have the Verizon account, we can, I'm worried about that part because that's going to allow Don to remotely open and close the gates.
Well, and many other folks too. Many other folks. So.
Yeah, your garage door will be hooked into this as well.
When you hit your garage door, it'll open up the gates by accident, right? Yeah. So,
yeah. So we're in good shape. I would say we're in very good shape overall. A few things to complete. And we keep modifying it and monitoring it and watching the contractor. And so we'll proceed. We can't apply, the thing that bothers me the most is that we can't apply to the for funding reimbursement until the contract has been completed and paid.
Right. I guess there's, like I said, the electrical pieces, but there's also, we're going to have to, we're trying to get quotes for the other pieces. There's a big wheel that you use, and there's some little tiny metal pieces that go onto the surge shaft that we're trying to get pricing on so we can talk about that. We probably won't have that to next meeting, but we need alternate pieces because if we open it up and leave the big bolt nut out in the elements, and somebody comes by and figures out how to take it off, we're not going to be able to open it. So we want to have backup pieces readily available in the gatehouse. So, and there's some pieces that are so small, if they fall, it's so easy to fall out, but they're critical to the operation of the gate. But it's a 7,500 pound gate. I guess the gate itself is probably what, 6,000 pounds or whatever that goes up and down. And we were going to test it during the 3-inch rainstorm, and be honest, we had chickened out because I figured out if we lowered it and couldn't raise it up, we'd be getting some phone calls. So, and it was on a Friday. It wasn't a Friday. I didn't want to deal with it, so we decided not to test it that day. But we're going to test it out a full moon, and we need a nice eastern breeze and hopefully a full moon. That'd be the best test that we can give it. So, hopefully in the next couple of months we can get that done. So here's a proposal, motion I have. And we get to, I'll make the motion and you get a second, we can discuss it. I like to name the new surge chamber, new surge gate, the Joe Pallotta, and I'll get its complete name spelling, but it's Joseph Pallotta Surge Gate. And we'll put a plaque on it and Joe, if you don't know Joe's an old Asbury Park employee, but he's lived and breathed at the lake and the gatehouse for decades, maybe 40 or 50 years. Would you say that, Pete?
Probably so.
Yeah.
I went with him in the 70s.
He's fished through the grates. He's walked the old channels. He's fished herring in there.
He's arrested herring poachers.
He tried to punch out the DLA commissioner one time, as I remember. And but he's a very hearty soul, and he's a good soul, and he's taught me a lot, and he's really helped out the lake over the years. So I would like to make the motion to name the gate, and we'll put some plaque up there, appropriate plaque, the Joseph, I think it's J, I'm not sure, the middle initial Pallotta surge gate. So that's the motion.
Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second. Oh, I can't hear you.
Carol?
Did you,
Is that-
not to?
Sorry, second.
Don? I'm sorry.
Don, what is it going to cost?
What's the
Do the
cost?
plaque?
I mean, I would say the plaque's gonna cost under $200 to make. Not to exceed $200, I mean,
Okay.
we're talking a small plaque, not his whole life story. So. the pro-
Jesse, for your minutes,
Mhm.
the spelling of his last name is Pallotto.
P-
Joseph Pilato.
Pilato.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
To place a plot,
Yeah.
to name the, okay, I'll figure out what that is, in an amount not to exceed $200.
Yeah, I have an email from his wife showing me that too, so.
Allenhurst,
Yes.
Any discussion on that, or?
why do you, just because of the,
At our last meeting, someone asked, is that building in Asbury or is that in Lock Arbor?
Oh, it's not the building. It's not the building we're talking about.
Oh, the actual
It's-
gate?
It's the gate, it's the surge chamber out by the ocean.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh,
the
and
new, it's the new one we just put in.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, not
Um,
talking about the gatehouse. I don't know that. I mean, I have two different answers on that. Peter may have an answer.
Yeah, I think you should answer yes. You should answer yes to that.
Yes.
It's in both of those towns.
But I think technically, if you look at it, there's an easement over the pipe. And the easement appears to be located in Asbury Park. So the north line of the easement is the boundary line between Asbury Park and Lock Arbor. So most, if not all of the flume is probably in Asbury Park. And if you turn west and look at the gatehouse, most, if not all of the gatehouse is in Asbury Park, although part of it might move over to the Lock Arbor zone.
Yeah, no one's ever been able to answer that before.
No,
We didn't.
ownership, we can't
yeah.
answer ownership either.
But
Yeah.
if you looked at the road shows that Asbury is like way south. And Lock Arbor charges for the parking in front of the building, so. I
Do
don't
they?
know.
I never even paid that close attention. And what were you saying also, Don, before about if someone ever stole that or something? I know what you mean. You mean the thing by on the actual beach.
Yeah, there's a little piece,
that thing that
there's a
sticks
metal
up.
piece that slides onto that silver shaft that's there.
Because we have been having like a lot of problems with
Vandalism.
mischief. Yes.
Oh, right.
And so you're afraid that that's going to get vandalized? Oh,
Big piece of metal. I mean, it's, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, we wouldn't leave it out there. We'd only leave it out there during a storm.
uh-huh.
But you never know. You
Right.
never know. So if we have another one, we can grab it quick and open up the gates. So
And that was good that you didn't go and test it that one night, because that was the night, wasn't that the night of the unorganized protest? Because the police were out in like droves that night. They were happy that it rained. But is that the night you were speaking of, a Friday night? You were going to,
I think that was the night.
they would have stopped you.
That was the night. That was the
Yeah.
night.
Good thing you didn't do it. Thank you for not doing it that night.
Yeah.
I would just add that the plaque needs to be made out of something appropriately weather resistant for that environment, like
So,
either
you know, let's make
powder
it,
coated or brass or something.
let's put it up to not to exceed $500. I think I want to amend it because,
What about stainless steel?
yeah, I mean,
That
that's,
works too.
yeah. We might have to amend it to $500. I think that's going to cost a little more money. I
We had
agree.
a sign made for the Lock Arbor Pavilion, and it wasn't very much, and it was $1,000. That's why you better make it more money, yeah, because
But that was a big sign, wasn't it? That was-
yeah, that, yeah.
Yeah,
This
this'll
will be
be small.
smaller.
This will be small.
But
We'll do a ribbon cutting. We'll close the guillotine for a grand opening or something like that.
okay, let's, Allenhurst,
Yes.
Asbury Park,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Yes.
Lock Arbor,
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Don.
Okay, now we got the 319 grant update. Who wants to take it? That's Jack. Jack, you want to lead this one?
Well, sure. At the moment, we are waiting on, I believe actually, Peter and his crew have submitted and are waiting for approval from DEP of the draft design plans. Is that right, Peter? That seems
Yes,
about right.
correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
They've inquired about some of the estimated prices, so that's something I'm trying to get back to them on. And I think it's they're considering the we're trying to figure out in terms of how to work out payment of that ahead of time potentially. So I think that's part of the conversation. So this is all for the MTDs specifically. So that's kind of those wheels are turning. We're still waiting on the check for the floating wetland islands, but in anticipation of that, I think I've been starting the second informational meeting that I'd like to have with the municipal folks. Commissioners that were there last time are welcome again, as well as DPW and the various lake commissioners. I want to say Sunset and Wesley Lake commissioners were both there last time, as well as Donna, of course. And we had a handful of other individuals. And this one will focus on the installation of the floating wetland islands, trying to garner support, hopefully get some volunteers now that we can have a few people out there at a time. Again, with masks, we put out, Princeton Hydro helped Greenwood Lake Commission put a series of floating wetland islands in their, let's say 2 weeks ago, when we were allowed to have up to 25 people. I want to say like 6 people showed up, but it was enough to make a difference. And we had 5 islands go in there. So if we're having 7, we're planning on 7 islands for Sunset Lake at the moment. We get a handful of people to help out. We can spread out plenty. It'll be a really great event to kind of help the citizens get ownership of this kind of project. And like what Jeannie was, and I know we'll get to this at some point later, but I know this has been something talked about, the Lakeshore residents, and making sure that they start taking a little bit more serious ownership of the lake itself, and understanding, what they do on their land is going to impact the lake. Same story with people who aren't on the lake shore. They can still have an impact by helping come out and planting these floating wetland islands. So I'm currently tentatively planning that for about I would say about a month from now. Again, we don't have the check yet, so we can't order the floating wetland islands. That gives us still a little bit of time, lead time, before the islands are built and sent, plans ordered, etc. So I'm thinking at the moment, July 13th or 14th. At this point, we don't have to worry about getting a room for a presentation, because we would still do that virtually, but the planting can happen in person. So at the moment, like Monday or Tuesday of July 13th or 14th, like I said,
That would be what? That would be
the second
what's
informational meeting.
Is that for who?
Commissioners and DPW, the other lake commissions, as well as anyone from town councils that we invited last time. And we can have them spread the word, and we'll.
Do we want to? I just want to. I'm thinking we should push that off a little bit, because we really kind of want the RFP for the treatment devices out there, and probably the wetlands rocking and rolling, and then brief them what's going on.
Well, we have 3 total.
Okay.
We'd already done one overview. The second one was intended for generating support for and volunteers for the floating wetland island plantings. And then the third one was going to be, okay, now that stuff is in, hopefully at that point, later in the summer, maybe early fall, hopefully the MTDs are close to being put, or they're put in. Now that things are in, what do you do? And that'll be focused on maintenance thereof. Yeah. That was my initial plan.
Right. I'm just, everything's slowed down. That's the problem.
Oh, I know.
So I'm just thinking it should shift out to the right a little bit.
If you want, we can have a further conversation. This is
because Peter, when do you think
virtual like this? It's easy to move
The only
around.
thing is you do need 3. You need 3 at least. you need 3, so you have to have the second one, and we'll have plenty of time to have the third one. This is
Yeah.
really focused, Jack's focusing this on the wetland islands.
Yeah.
And the appropriate people to be there are the Asbury Park reps and the Sunset Lake reps.
If you want it just for the wetlands, then
Yeah.
make it, is that what you're saying, that this information session would be for the wetlands, the
Yeah.
planning for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
We'll
I'm sorry.
focus on that.
I missed it.
I'll still toss some other stuff in, but
I think the wetlands would be perfect for that one.
yeah.
You're right. I got it. Okay. Plan ahead, see what happens.
Yeah, we'll continue to have those conversations and as things materialize, but you're hearing
So-
it here now. That's the
Who do you expect to notify? How are we gonna get the notifications out? Because last time that was a little sketchy.
yeah, we'll
Do each of our commissioners, you're gonna have to give us a list of what types of people you want there. And
Yep.
each of the commissioners for each town should
Yep.
go out and ask their appropriate town manager to, to invite those folks, right?
yeah, and that's fine. And that's exactly what I'd like to see happening. And if that's the case, if we need a little bit more time in order for the commissioners to reach out to their contacts, then we can push it another week, 2 weeks. Again, that's the kind of joy of being able to have the virtual thing, a meeting like this.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about booking a room, ordering food, making sure that's all in place. We can talk about a time and everybody can jump on and we'll go from there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
you know,
good.
and
Thanks,
Jack,
Jack.
if necessary, like I've got a whole PowerPoint on floating wetland islands and the benefit, and we could use that. But I mean, I hear your point, Don, about waiting until the floating wetland islands are, quote, rocking and rolling. But it is going to take some time for those plants to fill out. When we get them, they're going to be basically peat pots and quart containers. So it does take time, for all that vegetation to get established. So yeah, I think like what you're saying, Jack, there's a way to do this, get people engaged, have them understand what's happening, both by having them help in the field, and then doing if you want to call it the training session, the educational outreach component.
Maybe the big part with that would be the folks from the garden club in Asbury Park, and maybe some other garden clubs in the area. We got the Interlaken Garden Club and Alleners Garden Club. Maybe they would all like to join and help.
If you want, I have some pictures from Greenwood so you can see what's happening. And I really think that having an info session ahead of time would help to generate, like I said, generate the support.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good idea. And I think that, with the islands, you can social distance pretty well. People can be in masks, they can social distance, and you don't need a ton of people, but the more, usually the more the merrier, because, you get all the plants in pretty quickly, and then you can launch the islands and get them in place.
Okay.
I have, like I said, I got the pictures up if you want to see them real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
This was done 2 weeks ago.
The Asbury Park Garden Club has been maintaining all the gardens along Sunset Lake. So I don't think they're afraid to get out.
Right.
Oh, they've been doing a good job.
They've been holding garden maintenance for the past couple of weeks. So, and they just actually started a new garden on Sunset Lake. So I'm sure they'd be more than happy to get involved.
You're right.
It-
Oh, look at that. Is that the same material we'd be getting, Jack?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Wow.
You're
Cool.
talking about Tom Pavinsky's group?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you need the contact information, I'll send it to you, Jack.
Okay. Oh yeah, Tom and I have been in contact with the Shade Tree Commission, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, Shade Tree Commission,
Yep.
right.
Excellent. Oh, good.
So,
And it's
how many of these pods did we buy? I can't remember. 8?
7.
7. Okay.
Yeah. So we have 6 that are going to be in series together, and then there's going to be one smaller bean-shaped one, kind of over by the inlet a little bit more. But this is what they're going to look like when they first get planted, which is why I think it's good to have the info session ahead of time, so that way we can not only tell people about the benefits, tell people how they're going to get planted, what they're going to get planted with, how they work, but also to prepare them and say, look, there are plants on them, they need to grow. So they're going to look a certain way. They're still going to work. They may not be these disguised islands right off the get-go.
Right.
That looks wonderful.
I think the other thing they have to be reminded about too is the goose fencing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely mandatory, or else, those islands will be, wasted in no
Yep.
time at all. So
Oh, yeah.
that goose fencing has to go up, and it has to stay in place for a full growing season.
Is that what the green sticks are for?
Yep.
Yeah, if you look closely, you'll see, some
See,
fencing
yeah.
material.
Oh,
There you
Around
go.
here.
That shot, you can see it.
Yeah.
oh, I see. Yeah.
Yep.
Looks like somebody throwing water on it too.
Yep. Yeah, because as you put it on there, the top part of it's black, so it's going to radiate heat, and therefore some of that soil will dry out a little bit initially when you first plant them, because the water hasn't wicked up through the island yet. That was a nice warm day. It was actually really, like I said, it was a beautiful day. So it was really nice to be able to do that. But you had to wet them down from the top so that the plants didn't dry out that quickly. It's like transplanting plants from a pot to a garden. You got to make sure they're well watered, and then they'll take. There they are in.
It's a good question. I don't know if they have fresh water supply at Sunset. Does anybody know that?
All we were doing was taking buckets from
The
where
lake?
we were and just dumping it over.
Yeah, you don't need to irrigate them. It's just like what Jack is saying is that initially, because of the heat on the top of the island,
Yeah.
you just want to water that down.
Okay.
But the material itself is made out of recycled soda bottles and recycled plastic material.
That's
But
great.
it's porous, so
yeah.
the water will go up eventually. It's not like you toss it in, it's not gonna suck it right
Yeah.
up. It'll take some time for the water to percolate through up to where the plants actually are. So we help it by giving a little bit of water on top as it is. So, all right.
Was Greenwood Lake having a HAB while you were in the middle of that?
Not that I
I'm
know
only
of.
kidding.
They have. Paul was telling me there is some green nests, if you will, up in one of the little coves by his house, but otherwise we don't have anything. There wasn't anything significant.
You got nothing to say about that.
Nah. I asked him for a picture. He said he didn't have one. He said little green dots, and I thought duckweed or watermeal, and he said it wasn't that. So,
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna let
Thanks.
you guys carry on. Yeah.
Pete, we got the RFP process going for the MTDs. It looked pretty good, and we had a little wrinkle, right? You want to explain the wrinkle?
With the DEP review?
Yeah.
Well, we have someone at DEP who is coordinating the review, is not the reviewer.
Right.
So she takes the plans and distributes them for engineering review and oversight. And I'm just afraid she's not aware of all the time and effort we put into determining why we wanted to go from 1 to 3 manufactured treatment devices and why we wanted to put 2 at Sunset Lake. So I'm talking to Matt Mariano to maybe update his email to her tomorrow. He's given her the plans, he's given her the specifications all electronically. Today, with Jack's help, we did a project cost estimate and a quote from Contact. The Contact quote is for the $90,000 to purchase the 3 units, and our estimate then elaborates on what we think the construction cost is going to be when we go out to bid. So we'll work on that, get it all into the state, and then we sit and wait for their review. When you have one project manager at the state and one person to coordinate everything through, it works pretty well. But when they change a couple times during the course of the project, it makes it a little more difficult to get approval. But we'll do it.
Yeah, Jack's been doing a pretty good job smoozing our coordinator. So it's been wonderful, Jack. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So you got a good report.
He's thorough, so it's there's and since she hasn't been here from the get-go, it's making it tough going. But at least she's responsive, which is good. So I can appreciate that.
Have you been CCing Jay Springer as well?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, and that depending on how much longer it takes, Peter, we may have to elevate it up to Jay because he's been part of it and really helped us through some of the difficulties with our original project manager who didn't respond at all. And
Okay.
We technically only have a year from October. Is that correct?
Technically, I think I don't have it off the top of my head, but yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah,
That said,
I think we're good. I think we're in good shape.
we are, and in speaking with other people in DEP, Dave McPartland to be one of them, and he's managing some of the HABs work. No cost time extensions don't seem to be a problem now that COVID has delayed everything. So if we end up needing it, it's probably not going to be an issue. Prior to COVID, it was almost after speaking with Steve, you and I had this conversation a couple times for a couple different reasons, but that is not something you even touch with DEP. But now that we have extenuating circumstances, it's different.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on, I think, from this.
Okay.
So thanks a lot. Next month we'll have an update.
Donna,
Yeah, go ahead, Jenny.
at 319 grant, do you want me to bring up the brochure now or later on?
Whatever you want to do. It's up to you.
Okay. Let me just real briefly, I've been preparing a brochure, a paper brochure to be used. I just want to give a quick backstory that we started talking about developing some kind of brochure or something that we could do it for handouts back in February 2019 when we met in, if you could bring that up, let's see, the workshop notes from April 2019, where we met with the Shade Tree Commission and started talking about the importance of protecting plants, trees, native vegetation on the banks of Deal Lake. Anyway, we went through the regulations. Peter introduced that so that people would understand why the land use regulations are so important to preserving or improving water quality, preventing flooding, protecting the lake. So I don't want to read it to you, but that's still on our website. And let me go down a little bit. So then those are the regulations that were talked about during that meeting. And then during our discussion, the two questions that we kind of focused on, why were these regulations important? Like I said, Peter talked about it, and we'll go down a little further. What can we do to bring more awareness to the public and public officials that would help to deter the cutting of vegetations and trees along the lake bank in order to preserve wildlife, bank stability, and improve water quality. So we started out there, and you can see some of the suggestions, one of them being, sending letters or written material to municipalities, code enforcement, land use regulators that would then turnkey that to not homeowners, but lakefront, could be business or home, lakefront property. So that's the backstory of this. But then the 319 grant also, because it requires preparation of educational materials that relate to, of course, improving water quality. That's the name of the grant. And to prepare outreach materials and printed, it specifically states, let me see if I can bring that in the grant, that you develop printed materials. You can bring that up, the screenshot of, well, I think everybody's aware of the grant, that there's a section in the grant that refers to the preparation of written materials to distribute that would support the grant, of course, and that is related to improving water quality, lake stability, bank stability, having to do with that. Okay, so then I offered to go ahead and work on this brochure, and I've been doing that with input, and thank you to Steve and to Peter, and of course to Jack for their input on what should go into this brochure. And I sent it to, if you could bring that up, the brochure. It's in draft form right now. It basically is a guide for, you could see, for property owners along Deal Lake. It addresses the regulations. It folds in so you wouldn't see if let's see, you can scroll down. It covers the two regulations and emphasizes 50 feet directly adjacent to the Deal Lake shoreline are regulated. And then it tells what kinds of things are restricted. And then that explains that the regulations are complex, and go down a little more to, due to the complexity, it's recommended that people call before they do any landscaping or building along the shoreline. And then there's the contact information, the Department of Land Use number, the Department of Land Use website address, and then to report incidents, of course, what we've had for a long time on our website, 877 Warn DEP. And then there's the Land Use Compliance Office incidents reports down at the bottom. And then tying it in, Jack was right, and I thought he gave a really good suggestion to say that we should, if I can get myself off the screen, what the DLC is doing. Well, first of all, in the middle part, you see how can doing landscaping and building along the lake front hurt the lake? Because a lot of people really just don't know that it can do that, and why these, regulations are important. But then over to the right, and what Jack had wanted to include is, what is the DLC doing to improve water quality? What can you do? And so in here is where we bring in the 319 grant for the Deal Lake Commission supporting improvement, best management practices, the floating wetlands that we're putting in, the bioinfiltration structures at Wesley Lake, the MTDs. And then lakefront property owners and their entire community can help. And I put in a couple of things through street maintenance, cooperation with responsible abeyance to these shoreline regulations.
Jeannie, I think you did a great job on this. The only thing I have, I think I figured out what's missing.
What?
It is a map of Deal Lake. I don't know what the first sheet is. You know what I mean? I don't know how the fold is on it.
I'll show you. Go
okay.
back up to the top. We'll go back up to the top.
Okay.
I don't know. If here's the size of the brochure. It's
Right.
So if there's it's already got a lot of stuff on it. But all right, we still have the brochure up. No, but it folds in so that what you see on the front, and then as you open it, the first thing what you see on the back, this is what you see on the back, what I just showed you, and it has what you're showing on your screen there, that visual of Deal Lake. When you open up inside, you start to see what the regulations, the activities that are restricted. And then
I just thought we should have a complete picture of the lake, like not just the main lake, but all the fingers. People have an idea. You know what I mean? It's what image we usually use, right? And I think maybe that would help a lot. And that would be like an intro page, right?
We have plenty of those maps. I mean,
there are plenty of
put them together. I've put them together in the past. They're in the various documents that have been submitted to DEP. If you wanted something like that.
I think, I could put it on and we can see if it's actually going to be visible. People will actually be able to see anything in a small picture.
Because your goal is to hand this out to town officials, correct?
Well, to the town officials, and Jack in his first breakfast meetings, if we had talked about that, and I think, Steve had thought it was a good idea to have something in hand to give people as they leave. Now with the teleconferences, what I thought was, well, maybe the first one, if he says, hey, I have these brochures, he shows them like I'm showing you now, and they're going to be in your municipalities, and we begin to distribute that to the municipalities.
We could also send it to the residents, right? We can send it. We can get the addresses for all the lake residents and send them a copy.
If you want to do that, that would be more money, but yeah, and you could do that.
Yeah,
I think it's a great
what do you think,
idea.
guys?
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's bring it up. We'll work on it a little bit more, Jeannie. I'll work with you on that map thing, and then we'll figure out the mailing thing, and we'll make up a motion for the next meeting. Okay.
Yeah, because I know people on the lake, they're building patios.
They don't have a clue.
And,
It's,
they think they're okay, but they're not.
Peter and I have some stories for all you a little later, so you'll have a good, you'll grind your teeth a little bit. So
just so you know, that one, just the brochure, I mean, I think it's a pretty fair price, but just for 1,500 brochures, it's $329.
yeah,
I
it's just
made it free.
I just think it needs a little bit, just a few massaging, and I think
That's
we're good.
fine. And, just let me know, anything anybody wants to add to it, I've sent
Have we? I'm sorry. Does everybody have a copy of it? Yeah.
No, everybody does, and I was only asking from the expert, our experts, and to you, Don.
Okay. Why don't we?
Not an expert.
Hey, Jeannie,
Yeah.
you and I will work on it this week, and then we'll ship. Or next week. I'm sorry, early next week. And then we'll ship it out to everybody. Okay.
I think my one recommendation to Jeannie is that there's a lot of information there, but we need to wordsmith it. We need to really trim down the amount of verbiage in there, because people are going to lose interest. They won't read it unless we're dealing with, some concise, whether they're bullet points or you're referring them to something on the DLC website where they can get more information. But, the thing is, people get printed material every day. And if they have it and it's something they can't read literally in a minute, or maybe even less, they're not going to read it.
Well,
They just won't read it.
Would you also help if I send it to you? Where you have it? So
Doug wants in.
would you?
She wants to add her 2 cents here too.
Could you?
All right. Let's. Hey, Jeannie,
I
thanks.
would appreciate your input, Steve, on what you think should be taken out, because it's
I don't think it's so much stuff needs to be taken out. I just think the verbiage needs to be reduced.
Okay.
So
Hey,
we
Jeannie,
can
we
find
got some
ways
really
to,
good we have new photos for you, fresh off the press. Some dumb things people have done on the lake in the last 3 weeks.
That's another brochure. You can do
Yeah.
that, Don.
That's probably true. We have a whole section on the website just for that. All right, let's move on. Organic removal from Fireman's Pond. I had a nice talk with Marty yesterday, and I know nothing's been done. And Marty made a great suggestion to the firemen, the commissioners, to take that responsibility on and help us out a little bit. And I'm going to run with that with Marty and see what we can do. But the other part I mentioned to Pete the other day was to actually work with the county and drain the swamp, literally. Drain it, let it drain out and de-water that way over, 6 month period. And it'll be less material to de-water when we have to remove it. So that was a couple of things that we batted around. Peter, you don't have anything else on that, do you?
No, I don't have anything regarding the
But
schedule.
I thank Marty for that call yesterday. That was great.
That is helpful.
Water testing. Any more on CloNet, Steve, that you know of?
No, I was in contact with Jason a couple of weeks ago, just talking to him about some of the variability that I observed in the data that has been so far collected. We went over some of that, and some of it, he's going to have to resolve some of that. I think some of it may be a function of some additional training is needed. Some of it may have to do with proper calibration of the equipment. But when I went through the data, that was the thing that really struck me. There was an extensive amount of variability, and that needs to be reviewed. Now, granted, we're not using the data for any regulatory purpose. It doesn't have to be accurate to the third decimal point, but I'm seeing some really big discrepancies between
Right.
samplers and between sampling
And
events.
I think it's still I've seen people on my dock testing, doing samples.
Yeah.
I see, is Laura McDougall still there? Where's Laura? There she is. Laura McBride, I'm sorry. Laura, you're doing testing, correct?
Yeah, Don, we haven't, I have to be honest, I haven't been out on the lake yet myself since the pandemic. I know Steve he kind of handed it over to me. He brought the test kit to me. And my plan is to get out next week and start testing in the deeper sections. We were having trouble collecting or doing really accurate Secchi disc testing because it was too shallow. We were trying to do it from the bridge. It just wasn't, we weren't really getting good Secchi disc tests performed. So
Laura, I think you meant Jason dropped off the kits, not me.
oh, no,
You
no,
said Steve.
no, I'm sorry, not you, Steve.
Jason.
No, one of our board members.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not Steve Souza. Sorry, he was doing the testing and then kind of passed it back to me. So we're going to go out behind Jeannie, behind your section, and test by the bridge where it's nice and deep.
Well, I'm glad you said that because Bill Hodges is testing from that bridge.
Oh, okay. So then maybe that's overkill. Okay. I didn't know he was.
Maybe on the
testing-
other side of the bridge. I don't know if that, what do you think, Steve? You know, she's talking about Wickapecka Bridge. Would it be too redundant for one side of the bridge and then the other
Yeah,
side?
yeah, don't do that. You know, is anybody sampling off of Sunset Bridge or off of the railroad?
I think so. I think so.
Or-
Laura, I think it's real important that you do it back of your house now.
That's fine.
Because
Yeah,
that's,
I mean, I have a rowboat there as well. So we were trying to do it without getting out on the water, which I just don't think is as accurate. So I'll go out and do it off. It's actually easier for me to do
Okay.
it that way.
Okey doke.
Dr. Souza,
I'm sorry, but Carolyn.
I was going to say, Dr. Souza sent out an email to those of us on his email chain saying that he is going to be doing a summary on June 22nd. So any data you can get to him before that would be most helpful.
Right.
You mean Jason? Jason.
Dr. Adolf.
Jason, Dr. Adolf. Yeah.
Steve, everybody is pointing to you.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
If I might add on to what Carolyn said, Jason and I have been emailing, and he is going to do another training session. We just have to figure out when. So I think you're right. That would help, Steve, to get because, you know, we had that one day, it was freezing cold, and we were going to have another one. And then because of the pandemic, we just haven't had any more training. So everybody's been kind of doing the best they can.
We have to move on to another subject. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So just before you close on that, real quick, what I'll send over to Laura and Jeannie and Don is a map with the sampling locations that were sampled during the study that was done around 2010, okay? And you can see if you can match those up. But a number of those stations were sampled without the need for a boat, all right?
Okay.
So I'll send that over to you. There's lake stations and there's tributary stations, but I'll send that over to you, in a little bit.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, let's keep rolling. The ship and sniff program. So we were able to work with the Township Ocean Sewer Authority, and we actually did a dye test a couple weeks ago in Lock Harbor. We opened up the drain in Lock Harbor, went through the pipe, went over to the main pumping station, and got pumped through the line. And then we dumped about had to be a half a gallon of dye in. It was powder, very similar powder that they use greening the lake in Allenhurst. So it goes in red and comes out green, bright green. There was no visible green that I saw. I checked all day long, and nothing came out. Well, 2 weeks went by or so, and the main sewer line, the pressured line that goes through Lock Harbor, all through Deal, all the way to Oakhurst, to West Deal, Ocean Township Sewer Authority's main plant, the line broke under Dave Wiener's house, Dave Wiener's sidewalk in Lock Harbor.
Oh, Bob Wiener.
Bob Wiener. Bob. I'm sorry, Bob. I thought it was Dave.
Wait, can I tell you that morning, someone knocked on our door,
Yeah,
and it was just so weird to have someone actually knock on your door during the pandemic
sure.
to tell us that that was broken. A resident walked all the way up to our house. Scared me to death.
Well, they didn't really know what was broken at the time. They thought it was a water main break,
Yeah,
And
they thought it was
right?
like in front of a house around the corner, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never jumped so high to see someone at my front door.
So it turns out there was a main gas line. They replaced the
Oh,
gas line.
yeah?
Yep, right above that pipe, and they believe it got nicked. And
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the new pump system, it's a higher pressure pump, and supposedly they figured out it might have ruptured over time. It could have been a leak that we've been seeing. We've been getting high counts of human waste along Loch Harbor shoreline, so that could have been it. And it could have been over a long period of time it's been leaking, and the dye just never got there yet. So
Oh, interesting.
we'll
Okay.
see if we have any more. We'll do retest in the next couple of months and see how we do. But they fixed it. They did a great job. They redistributed
Yes.
the material to Asbury, believe it or not, over the bridge. You saw that whole contraption and the closing of the bridge. There was also another break in Deal at the same time, right before this happened. There was a construction operation and by the railroad tracks, and they damaged the line there, and they had more leaking. So it was a combination of errors.
Oh my.
But they worked really fast on getting it corrected once they got everybody on board. So just wanted to tell everybody that. And Clean Ocean Actions, they knew the next day. They called me, and it's on some kind of reporting system. Peter, you may know, but I guess it gets reported to DEP, and they knew. So, and then the ocean was closed on Thursday and Friday, I believe. Loch Harbor and Asbury, which, just precautions. They couldn't take any readings, but just precautionary. I don't think a lot of material went in the lake.
I don't even think people knew that it was
Yeah.
closed.
It didn't look bad at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for that. The tree planting project, that Mr. Cass, Steve Cass, and they asked to do additional plantings, and Loch Harbor asked for that to be delayed. Well, they're going to
No, not delayed, not done, not done.
Right.
Yes.
They're going to revisit in October.
Yes, I wrote down every single person's objection, but I'll spare you the details of reading that
Thank
all
you.
back. But
Thank you.
and also the other thing that was brought up though, and I didn't understand from your notes, was who is paying to the town, the village of Loch Harbor is paying to maintain it. You had said a bit earlier though that money left over was going to maintain that.
There's no money left over. We took the responsibility to do maintenance for 2 years. So the maintenance of the bushes. So
because here's the thing. No, we've already been, the village of Loch Harbor has been paying for it, and the price of maintaining it,
we're not doing any of the grass cutting. We're not doing any of that. We said we'd maintain the bushes themselves. The grasses that come up, they have to be trimmed in the fall. We said we do that for 2 years. So
okay.
That's our only obligation.
But you're not doing that.
We did it once. We already did it once, and we're going to do it twice.
Oh, because the cost, we pay Deal to mow the lawn there, and the cost has gone up substantially. Now the grass.
But that wasn't the Deal Lake Commission's.
But the people are very mad about that too. So.
Well, you know what? It's a great improvement they got. And it looks wonderful. Asbury Park's looking wonderful. The whole area. You see the picture in back of me. I mean, that's the way it looked in the old days, and it's getting back to that. So everybody should be very proud for what they did. It was a great addition.
It's caused a lot of problems though with people complaining to my husband all the time, to the commissioners all the time. So
I'm sure there's other people that love it. So I mean, it's
those people have not spoken up.
They need to do that. Anyway, we'll keep on moving. Seaview Mall, we had, obviously that's been stopped. We're luckily a lot of the businesses are open. I know Laura is going to be working with the folks in the county and the state. We're going to have another meeting soon and get that ball rolling again. The weed treatment, 2020 weed treatment. It was done in 2 phases. The first part was done June 10th on a Wednesday, and unfortunately, the applicator, he read the label, but he misinterpreted the label, and he told the golf course they couldn't water for 5 days, and they had a nuclear meltdown. So
10 days.
Luckily, I was on my bike nearby. I ran over and calmed them down, but we didn't treat Terrace Pond that day. We only treated the lower section, and that was done. And then today we treated Terrace Pond. We did it from Laura McBride's backyard. Thank you, Laura. And it worked out very, very well. It took about an hour and a half. You include all the transportation of the boat back and forth.
Just to
And the
be
gentleman
clear,
did a wonderful job. I think about 250 gallons of material was pumped in around the lake. He avoided the lily pads. He avoided the pump station. He was 10 feet from the shoreline. So it went very well. And he feels in about a week we should see results, and the weed should be turning black, and soon after that falling to the bottom. So,
there, the irrigation use restriction on Clipper is 24 hours.
right.
So, like Don said, the original kid that was out there, and I'll say kid because he was really inexperienced, did not read the label correctly. 5 days is the maximum for when you're doing a subsurface application at the highest possible concentration. Any surface application, it's only a 24-hour irrigation use restriction.
And there was no phone call to the golf course. It was only an email. And believe it or not, nobody read the email at the golf course for a week. So this time we emailed them and called them, and everything was fine. No problem. But the one negative that I saw was the lily pads on the eastern side did curl up and disintegrate. They're still there. You can see them, but they're a lot less lily pads. I wasn't too thrilled about that. But that's what the guy said happens. They come back. They actually may come back during the year. But the area that they treated heavily in that one section, the lily pads just dissipate a little bit. So
yeah, just to be clear on that too, again, if you read the label, Clipper is not supposed to affect water lilies or any type of emergent vegetation. So, and this was one of the other reasons too, we did not want to have any application of material any closer than 10 feet from the
right.
shore. So that we could,
Yeah.
so
We'll see how it goes up in the upper section. The applicator today was very, very good, very knowledgeable, and we had a nice check. We actually we drove over to Sunset Lake, and this is for another discussion, but we saw what was there. He thought what they were using for treatment over there, sonar was incorrect based on what he saw in the lake.
yeah,
So,
I mean, I've been saying that all along. It's
I know.
not, sonar is an herbicide. They're treating algae. It's not an algicide.
Correct. That's a totally different treatment needed.
Right. Asbury's getting ripped off.
So I asked Bill Hodges, Bill was with me. I asked Bill Hodges to look into that and see if we can turn Asbury around. We really should control the treatment at Sunset Lake because it affects Deal Lake. It goes downhill. So it's all flowing down to us, and we should control that and keep the weeds properly controlled there. So like we have in the past, right?
So I have a question about
Sure.
the lily pads because, we've been hearing different people
Sure.
concerns about that. So Steve, the lily pads will revive. Is there a kind of period of time, or will it just be next season, or when do they usually, you start to see them becoming green again?
I mean, honestly, I don't know because my experience with Clipper and lily pads is that it does not have an impact on lily pads. I think probably what happened, there was some overspray, and the drift. You ended up with the surface of the plant being impacted, but it won't affect the roots and the rhizome. So potentially, could you see some regrowth this year? Yeah, I mean, when we see harvesting done on lily pads, they grow back within a year, within that same season. But I would say worst case it might be next year. I mean, best case, maybe by the end of July, you're seeing sprouts again. But it doesn't get down into the rhizomes, and lily pads, the roots on them are literally like 4 inches in diameter. So it's not going to kill the roots.
By the way, before he treated, he did test the water for pH, and he tested it for oxygen. So it was, I think the pH was 7, and oxygen level was 8, and it was well within the zones. And he was very pleased about that. So, and he also talked about longer range plans and maybe we do a multi-year deal where we can make that a maintenance program with the company, and they don't have to treat. They'll inspect, they'll inform us what the results are, and they'll treat as necessary. So that's something we could talk about in the early fall and late in winter. But it's very positive. I was very happy with the company. So
Well,
next, let me keep going. I gotta keep rolling. We're
yes, I
late.
just want to mention that the permit is for 2 years, right?
For 2 year, it's a 2-year permit. Yeah. You guys hear that whirling noise? No? Okay, good. Somebody's doing the laundry here, and our washing machine's ready to break. It's bad. It's bad. The assessments. Jesse, what's going on with the assessments? What's the latest?
I still haven't received Lock Harbor or Interlaken, but you said Lock Harbor, she put the check in the mail?
Yeah, I think the check, they said the check was mailed.
Okay.
She did. I thought she mailed it to you right after the last meeting. I'll call her tomorrow.
As of last Friday.
Yeah, I think, Margaret, she did. The problem was, I guess they mailed it to Interlaken. It said Interlaken for some reason.
I picked up mail.
Sorry.
So I pick up the mail in Interlaken once a week, and
Okay.
it wasn't there last week.
Oh,
So
God.
maybe
I'll
it's
just double check. I'm talking to her about something else tomorrow, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I called the borough administrator today, Lori, and she wasn't in, and I was advised to email her. So I have inquired as to when that will be paid, and I will, follow up when I get a response.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. The NJIT 319 grant phase 1 of the blue-green algae issue, they're on track. They asked us for some questions. Steve's going to help complete those answers, and we'll get back with NJIT. They're asking for bridge heights and depths of water and various other things. For the most part, they're going to have to enter the water at different locations if they're going to want to reach the whole lake. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, I think that, both Peter and I can address their questions. I mean, some of them were relatively, general, like the overall size of the lake. I mean, some of that stuff they could have got from the website, but the barge or the machine, the boat that they're using definitely is going to have some problems getting under the bridge that heads over to Allenhurst. That's probably going to be too low. So, but they can always launch over in Allenhurst. But I think they can get to the 3 main sections of the lake without a problem. The main body from the railroad bridge down, Sunset from Wickapeco down, all the way down to the railroad bridge, and then the Allenhurst section if they launch over in Allenhurst.
Thanks. The say phase 2, do we know anything about the phase 2 we put in for?
Nope. DEP is still on vacation. No, that they're not in because of the of COVID. And Jack, you haven't heard anything either, right? I mean, have you even gotten the contracts yet for phase 1?
Nope. No,
Yeah.
we're still working on that. I gave him the co-op. I'm actually worked on a couple co-ops for a couple other projects too, and got them finished up. Those comments were in. I did hear that it should be by the end of this month. So DEP's got 2 weeks.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath on that one either.
Nope.
I mean, you hear most people are maybe almost a little bit more productive working from home, but I'll leave it at that when it comes to DEP.
Yeah.
By the time they award it, the blue-green algae problem will be over. It'll be winter.
Yeah. They have to actually hand sign things and give it to another person. So it takes a day just for the person to sign it and leave it on the desk, and then the next day, at best, for the next person to come in and look at it. And maybe
never heard of DocuSign?
What's that?
They never heard of DocuSign?
Yeah, I know. Apparently not.
Thanks, Steve. Goose treatment. I thought the goose treatment was exceptional that we did in Asbury and over in Colonial Terrace. we had a lot less geese. I attribute that to a lot of help we had on the commission. The federal people sent us information, and we helped out getting neighbors signing up to boil the eggs, and we did well on it. I mean, I don't see too many young geese, but I'm thinking we should put on the website what material we used and encourage the neighbors to use it on some of their lawns, because, you know, places around the town could really use it. But it's, you know, individual property owners could definitely use the material.
Yeah, I know, it's Rejexit, it's a grape extract, but let me just check, because in the past you needed a permit from DEP to utilize that. But, and that, the municipal workers are probably already covered, because they're doing stuff like Roundup treatments and things like that. But let me just check on that before.
Okay, I think that the company we used was certified. So I think they would have to hire a certified company. I agree with you on that.
Right. Yeah.
We've been
Okay.
And I
using
think
them.
Jesse has a friend that lives on the lake that uses it and loves it. I mean,
She's got far less geese.
But
Laura,
the
Jean Ann.
the people that did the egg treatment recently, will we be able to ask them to come back again? Won't they do the same thing?
they work for the individual towns. They don't work for us. That's something we could address next year, because not every town, the railroad track area, they look at it, but nobody really pays them for that. So maybe we can give them a couple $100 and maybe they can help out. I don't know. I'll ask her. I'll ask.
Which town,
Jeannie,
Don, which towns pay for that?
Asbury does not. Asbury does not. She does help it. I think Asbury should use them along Deal Lake, because almost Allenhurst doesn't use them.
Interlaken does.
Interlaken does. Ocean does, which is a big chunk of the lake right there. And I think Deal does also. So it's a good. And Lock Harbor, I don't think needs it. To be honest, I think they have them anyway, but I don't think they. Does Lock Harbor use the geese people? Oh, Margaret, you're.
Well, if you think it's
I'm sorry, we did not use them this year.
Okay. And you probably don't. There's not many places to hide.
I didn't see any babies this year.
No,
anyway.
I didn't see any of them. There's a lot of geese over there, but no babies.
We're going to be having another meeting at some point when things open up with Asbury Park. Maybe that would be a time just to put that in there, and because it's important.
We'll talk. We got some time on that one. It's over. The season's over.
Right.
We
But
survived. Jean, you want to handle the lake appreciation contest, please?
Well, all right, but it's really been a joint effort. Carolyn she ordered the T-shirts and the toner to print them. So she's going to be printing the artwork on the T-shirts for the 9 children and 1 teacher.
That's good. Yeah, absolutely. I missed. I'm sorry. We have a resolution ready to go. Jess, you want to read it?
It's just a resolution authorizing the commissioners from Asbury Park and Interlaken to purchase, print, and distribute the T-shirts to the participants of the NALMS Lake Appreciation Contest in an amount not to exceed $250. Is that enough, Jeannie? $250?
Yeah, we have the prices, so it shouldn't exceed $250.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to just put 300 in case
300 to make just
in case
I scanned the receipts and I sent them to Dawn today.
But there'll still be mail receipts in envelopes.
Right. So let's do 300.
I sent them to Jesse.
Oh, you sent
Jesse has them now.
Okay.
Thank
you.
I move. The Ocean moves for it.
Second.
I'll second.
Allenhurst?
Yes.
Asbury Park?
Yes.
Interlaken?
Yes.
Lock Harbor?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's going to be great.
Yeah, everybody knows what it is, right?
That's very nice.
The kids did art for the North American what is it, Steve?
Lake-
Lakes Management Society.
Right.
And we,
All the pictures are right here.
yeah,
No, they're really cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really are.
I did some editing on them. They come out a lot better than
Yeah,
they are
they're
on the website. but-
Jeannie edited them, and then as soon as the transfer paper arrives, I can, the shirts just arrived yesterday,
That's
so I
great.
can get them made, and then we're gonna be mailing them to each child
I think that's great.
With the letter, you know,
Yes. from the commission.
from the commission.
That's great.
Okay, one more item. I think it's one more item. Where is it? Nobility Crest. So we had a report from Laura's team that there was more sediment washing down from our friends at Nobility Crest. And Laura, you want to show the pictures?
Ken will have to enable.
Ken will have to, oh, okay.
No, she's good.
Laura? Can't hear you, Laura.
You have to,
Sorry,
Oh,
I
there you go.
muted myself. Okay, give me a minute.
Hello?
Can
You,
it's so upsetting that this is happening again, really.
Okay.
are you opening, are you opening for comments yet or no?
No.
No, the public's not open yet, not open for business yet.
Okay, so let me screen share. My download. All right, so these pictures were taken. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the area behind my 310 Lincoln. So the golf course is over here. This is where the feeder stream comes into the Colonial Terrace section of the lake. They called to report this discoloring of the water, and it was obvious all the way down behind my house. So so that was the 8th. On the 10th, I was able to go up to Nobility Crest, and this was just one of the storm drains, completely unprotected.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see, I did a video. Let's see if this is, no.
I went up there today, Laura. It was all cleaned up, by the way.
Oh yeah, because miraculously, after I took the video and reached out to you, and you reached out to, I guess to Greg Blash and
Ron Kirk.
Ron Kirk, someone got a hold of them up there, and let's see, this. So you can see there's no silt fencing anywhere.
Are you showing a video right now?
Yeah, can you see that?
I don't see the video.
No, we don't see the video.
Oh, what?
You'd have to play it in your movie.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I'll send that, Dawn. I was preparing the email for you.
Okay.
Can you see this image?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, this is at the top of that hill. You can imagine how much sediment will flush down. The storm drain is here. They had, I guess, at one point in time, tried to put some silt screening over the storm drain, which had completely, washed away, so that anything flowing from that amount of dirt flowed probably right into that storm drain.
Yeah.
And all these storm drains go into the detention basins up there that end up into the stream behind Seaview and flow ultimately into the Colonial Terrace section of the lake. So Don said, as he said, it was the next day, they all of a sudden had hay bales, silt screening, put silt screening around all of the open soil areas. And but it's
So
weeks
here-
after.
So the question is for, for us and maybe a question for Hunt, I think for Hunt, what can we do from a legal standpoint? I mean, this is the third time these guys trashed the lake. They literally trashed the lake. What can we do about that?
Well, have you contacted DEP?
So I did not contact DEP this time. I was preparing a letter for DEP, and just like when I contacted DEP last time, they sent someone to the site, and what they said was, because we had already alerted them that we had a problem. That was when I had the video of them literally pumping rainwater out of one of their pits into the storm drain. And she said, because by the time she got there, they capped that pipe. She said that there was really nothing she could do. There was really no fine she could give them because they had already taken care of capping the pipe. And she even went as far as to say, well, they had this retaining wall and they needed to make sure that the water wasn't building up behind the wall, which would have made the wall collapse. So he had no choice but to pump the water out. So, I mean, I really wasn't super excited with their response. Soil erosion control people were contacted, freehold soil erosion people. And that
but
was,
Laura did all this work, and last time I was involved, and they worked. We informed the soil people, the state, and they still got away with it. I mean, there was no fine or anything like that. They got their hands slapped by the town for sure. But Steve, is there any remedy we have, or Jack, do you guys have from an environmental standpoint?
I mean, we know if we want to try and get sediment out of the lake. I mean, we brought this up before, and I realize it's difficult to measure, but I mean, there have been other environmental disasters or environmental impact to other lakes and other places. I just think there's got to be something we can do, because to rectify that, it would cost us a lot of money to try and.
I kind of agree. I mean, is there any letter we can write, Hunt? Try to.
Well, it sounds like you're going to come under the Clean Water Act. So I got to take a look at that and see what the basic provisions are there, and see if there's an avenue of relief through that. That's a federal statute. So
We got tons of evidence. I mean, there's tons of evidence.
yeah,
well,
I can send you pictures from a year ago, which was when they built the fourth building, and they were literally pumping the water into the storm drain that had a fish on it. So, it goes into fresh water. The coloring or the discoloring of the lake water is really, it's identical to a year ago.
Right.
And we get, sediment flowing from that stream through Seaview at different times, but nothing like what it looks like from that location.
Yeah.
Because the sands up there are really blonde and they're very fine, and you can see. I'll send you all the photos if you haven't already seen them from last year, but I'll also send you what I have from this year.
So, Hunt, can you report maybe next month? See what we can. We have something.
yeah, I'll take a look at the statute and see what the basic requirements are to file suit under it, and see what kind of relief is provided for, and we'll go from there.
Excellent.
Because what DEP is going to say, and Peter is going to, can chime in on this too, but they're going to say this is under the jurisdiction of Freehold Soil County, Freehold County Soil Conservation District, and they have a permit from the conservation district, and they need to be adhering to that permit. But at the same time, like Hunt's pointing out, it is a violation of the Clean Water Act. DEP does have regulations. The New Jersey Water Quality Standard 7:9B it has maximum allowable concentrations of total suspended solids in the water. And, although we don't have a sample visually, we know anything that's above 25 milligrams per liter is going to cause the stream to look muddy. and that's well above 25 milligrams per liter. So even if you had to kind of like bluff your way into some of this, you know, they're in violation of at least the state's water quality standards. So we don't even have to go to the federal level, just the, you know, the water quality standards. So look at 7:9B.
Yeah, they're in
And,
clear violation by not silt fencing all of that loose soil area in some of the photographs you just showed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just in front of the drains, but in other areas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, we've had our frustrations with Freehold in the past. You know, they're understaffed. That'll
Sure.
be their typical response.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, I'm not going
Well,
to throw my hands up and say there's nothing we can do.
The other avenue, Laura, that your group can do, we can't do it. Put some signage. Thanks for scumming up our lake. You know,
Yeah.
a nice banner
So,
up there somewhere.
I have a call into Freeholder Arnone. We're going to be trying to set up a meeting with him.
Okay.
Vin Gopal have been really working with us to get some movement, some improvements to the basins at Seaview. We were really making pretty good headway until COVID hit, but we're going to try to get back to that. But I absolutely do plan to raise our concerns about Freehold Soil Commission and how lame they are, and how, you know, disappointing it is to, you know, really try to do what's right for this lake and continue to find developers totally ignoring soil erosion control.
And the word is out. It's like people know. You don't really have to worry about it. When, you know, they know.
All right.
That they're not gonna, nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
They
Yeah.
should
All right,
imply-
Laura, thanks a lot. We're gonna move on, but
Perfect.
thanks for all you guys do. You know, keeping eyes open is wonderful. And we're gonna have a couple in the new business area that we're gonna talk about in a minute, about keeping eyes open. So we're gonna go into new business now. Sewer line breaks, I think I hit already. The storm grates. So my wife and I are taking a bike right up north, right up Richmond Avenue, and in Page Avenue turns into Richmond and Deal, and newly paved road. It was beautiful and nice to ride. And I took a glance. You know, I didn't notice anything on the way back. I noticed the storm drains weren't changed. The grates were the non-compliant grates. So I took a ton of pictures, and I sent an email to the town administrator, and I included Mr. Cassidy in that, who was their deal rep. And they came back immediately, said they're going to look into trying to fix that. There was about 7 or 8 grates that weren't done. Some were, I believe, on another project Peter was working on years ago. But they're going to look at that and hopefully fix that.
Well, Don, the storm grates on Asbury Avenue that I sent you pictures of, you had said you got in touch with somebody, and that's still.
They said they were going to fix them. They didn't, I didn't follow up and look at that. But
Hasn't been done.
Okay.
Last walk I took,
So.
it's still there. You have a storm grate that is compliant right next to an open.
Right. Got it.
drain.
So I have not been beating on the county on a whole bunch of things because of the COVID thing, but that's definitely on the list. So anyway, Rich, they're going to be working on that. Sunset Lake cleanup went well last week. I attended. I brought our 8-foot gripper and walked around the lake and took out a bunch of debris. There's about probably 15 people there. I'm guessing 20 people. They had a nice crew. It cleaned up very well, but you can't see through the water too well. It was chemically treated recently, so it's pretty murky. Peter and I, there was another issue that popped up, and I was searching, going up down Corley's Avenue, looking at some things, some illegal activities that were going on in the backwoods. And I spotted a pool being dug on Corley's Avenue, 740 Corley's Avenue. And I took some pictures and sent them to Peter. And Peter, I think, found out there was some stuff going on there. What, you want to explain that, Pete?
No, but it's a private property that applied for a permit from the municipality, and I looked at it. It's close to a intermittent stream that flows into Deal Lake. And I feel there are associated wetlands, and I got a hold of a survey of property, and the surveyor that surveyed the property also felt there were wetlands there. And I felt that maybe the construction encroached on those wetland areas a little bit. It's close, but it's not our responsibility to find out. So I
Right.
wrote back to the construction department in Interlaken and asked that they require the property owner to provide an as-built survey or a survey of the conditions after the pool's not finished.
Right.
The pool's under construction. Then we'll go out and evaluate it and make a determination if some repair has to be made and a realignment of the structure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Peter. Thanks for jumping on that.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
I
it's
was,
difficult, it's difficult. So everyone understands it's a part-time, 1 hour, 2 hours a week office. So you can't expect to get action immediately. I respond immediately, but we can't always get action immediately. So we'll monitor it.
and they really respond to people making phone calls. So if you see something, say something type of thing. If you're a neighbor, you see something going wrong, you got to pick the phone up. That's really the only way. A property just changed hands right next to me, and it turns out the previous owner put a fence up, and it's almost 2 feet on my neighbor's property. So, we're resolving that. So the two neighbors are resolving that. So that's going well. But things happen. You figure people do the right things, but not necessarily all the time. I think that's. Oh, I was talking about summer cleanup. Does anybody want to help out and manage that? I figure we could do a boat cleanup sometime in end of July, August, and have a boating party on the lake. But so just think about that. You don't have to tell me now, but think about maybe volunteering to help that and organize that, because that'd be kind of a fun event. And maybe we can work out with the Watershed
Yeah,
Alliance.
Don, count us in.
Okay, thanks.
Just pick a date.
That's all I got. I got a whole bunch of things written down here, but I'm not going to touch them right now because we went over our allotment of time. I'm ready to open up for the public. Jess.
A motion to open the meeting to the public? Someone offer?
I'll
So-
offer.
Okay.
Second? Second,
Second to open the meeting.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, public. Who would like to speak?
Hi, hello,
Yes, who are you, ma'am? And what address are you at?
Melanie Nolan from Lock Harbor, the alternate.
Oh, hi.
I know it's confusing because it says Frank. I have to change that. Anyway, I wanted to follow up on something that Margot was talking about earlier, because you were talking about the planting along Deal Lake, the grasses, and at our town meeting, we had talked about leaving that in until October to see how they look, because a lot of people are not happy about them. Contrary to what somebody told you, most of the people that are not happy. So we wanted to leave them in. The decision was made to leave them in and see how they look by October.
Okay.
And the new ones that were proposed down for the bend in the road down there,
Yep.
going to Ocean Avenue, they were flatly voted down by everybody who participated in the meeting.
Okay.
So, no, contrary to what you said earlier, I don't think-
I heard that. Margot had told me that. She relayed that.
Okay.
information. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to follow up on that.
Yeah. There is one
So
dead tree. There is one dead tree down by the ocean that we got to take care of, and that's an oak tree.
I wasn't quite sure what the maintenance was though, because they were all cut back. I know, so they look decent now because they were all cut back. But since then, I don't know, is there maintenance on them or something? I think that's what Margaret was talking about too.
No maintenance. I mean, the grass cutting is a whole. That's responsibility of Lock Harbor, and it did. Yeah, I did understand it went up. But that was part of the deal. So we volunteered to do the maintenance, just the cutting of the tops of the grass in the fall twice. So we did it
Okay,
once
good.
already.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from the public?
Don, I guess I just want to say I really appreciated having the weeds treated today. I'm hoping it makes a difference
Yeah,
in
it
this
felt good.
very sad section of the lake.
It was, yeah.
And I was hopeful to hear, or happy to hear, that you and the applicator talking about like checking in next year to see if we can't somehow, it's probably not going to take care of it all at once, but maybe to just kind of keep
Right.
on top of it with regular maintenance.
He was very positive. There was going to be a big reduction in weed count. So
Okay.
yeah,
I think that'll make a big difference,
yeah.
even for mosquitoes. So
Yep.
let's hope.
Thanks. But the other way, I don't know if you noticed the lake, but it's been really active. A lot of people are using it. If you look out, you're looking out your window, you're by the lake or driving by, there's a ton of boats out there. It's great to see. There's
Good.
3 or 4 pontoon boats now are partying out there. There's motorboats, there's kayaks, stand-up paddle boards. The rowers are still rowing, and it's just a lot of activity, a lot of fishermen. So it's really nice to see. By the way, my buddy was fishing the lake twice the last 3 weeks, and he's caught dramatic amount of bass, 3 or 4 bass, 5 bass, and the last time, healthy looking fish, very full. I guess full of herring and shad. Excellent condition to fish. Hey, we have an alternate clerk. Who is that alternate clerk we got there? The assistant. Uh-oh.
It's my granddaughter.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Hi.
Oh, she's so pretty.
So, can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Give a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect.
I see the cocktails are out already, Mr. Mullins.
Everybody, stay healthy and stay safe.
Yeah.
You
you.
And
too.
by the way,
You
I just want to tell everybody, Asbury, I drove my bike through Asbury today. Everybody had their tables out on Cookman, on Bond Street. It was really great to see. Pascal and Sabine's had an elaborate setup outside. People were sitting down, dining, and it was great to see.
Are we all gonna have our hair cut next time?
No,
I
I'm
just
having a
gotta
man
keep
bun.
cutting it up.
Next meeting, I got a man bun. That's it.
That I want to see.
Right.
It's coming. It's coming.
So you guys are in a tie for it then.
Yeah. Marty, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
see ya.
Thank
All right,
you.
take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Be
Bye.
safe.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Marty.
Bye-bye.